My name is Daniel. I am 28 years old. Today, I want to tell you a story. This story changed my life forever. It is not only about kindness. It is also about hope, courage, forgiveness, and second chances. Sometimes, one small act of kindness can change two lives. This is exactly what happened to me. 3 years ago, I lived alone in a busy city. I worked as an accountant in a large company. Every morning, I woke up at 6 o'clock. I drank coffee. I caught the same bus. I worked until evening. Then I came home. My life was simple, but it was also lonely. I had a good job, a nice apartment, enough money, but I had no close friends. My parents lived in another city. Most evenings, I ate dinner alone. Sometimes silence filled every corner of my apartment. One Friday evening, heavy rain covered the city. Dark clouds filled the sky. Cars moved slowly through the wet streets. People hurried home with umbrellas. I had just finished work. I walked toward the bus stop. Suddenly, I noticed someone sitting near an old bus shelter. It was a young girl. She looked about 18 or 19 years old. Her clothes were old and wet. She hugged her small backpack tightly. Her shoes were worn out. She looked cold, very cold. Many people walked past her. No one stopped. No one asked if she was okay. I also started walking away, but after a few steps, something inside me said, "Go back." I stopped. Then I turned around. I walked slowly toward her. "Excuse me." She looked up. Her eyes were tired, but they were kind. "Are you okay?" She gave a small smile. "I'm fine." I could tell she wasn't. "You look very cold." "It's okay." "Do you have somewhere to go?" She looked down. "No." That single word broke my heart. I quickly walked to a nearby cafe. A few minutes later, I returned with a hot cup of tea and a sandwich. "I bought these for you." She looked surprised. "For me?" "Yes. You don't have to pay." For a moment, she didn't move. Then she accepted them carefully. "Thank you." Her voice was almost a whisper. She held the warm cup with both hands. I haven't had hot tea in several days. We sat quietly while the rain continued to fall. After a few minutes, I asked, "What's your name?" She looked at me. "My name is Emma." "I'm Daniel. It's nice to meet you." She smiled softly. "It's nice to meet you too." I didn't want to ask too many personal questions, but I was worried. "Emma, do you have any family?" She became silent. After a long pause, she answered, "No, I'm alone." I felt sad. No one should feel alone, especially someone so young. The rain became even heavier. The wind grew stronger. I looked at Emma. "You can't stay here tonight." She quickly shook her head. "I'll be okay." "No, you won't. There is a shelter nearby. I can take you there." She looked nervous. "I've been there before." "What happened?" "It was full." "Oh." I didn't know what to say. Then my phone rang. It was my older sister, Sarah. "Hi, Daniel." "Hi. Are you coming home?" "I'll be late." "Everything okay?" I looked at Emma. "Yes. I'll explain later." After the call ended, I kept thinking. I couldn't leave Emma alone in the rain, but I also didn't want to make her uncomfortable. Then I remembered that my apartment building had a small guest room that residents could rent for one night. An idea came to my mind. "Emma." "Yes, I know this may sound strange, but there is a guest room in my apartment building. You can stay there tonight. I'll pay for it." She immediately shook her head. "I can't accept that." "Why not?" "I don't want to be a burden." I smiled gently. "You're not a burden. Everyone needs help sometimes." She looked into my eyes. Maybe she was trying to decide if she could trust me. Finally, she nodded. "Okay, but only for one night." I smiled. "One night." We took a taxi to my apartment building. The manager knew me well. He gave Emma the key to the guest room. The room was small, but it was clean. It had a warm bed, a bathroom, fresh towels, and a window looking over the city. Emma stood quietly inside the room. I don't know how to thank you. You already did. How? You smiled. For the first time that evening, she laughed. It was a beautiful laugh. Before leaving, I said, "If you need anything, my apartment is on the 5th floor." She nodded. Thank you, Daniel. Good night, Emma. Good night. The next morning, I knocked on her door. She opened it. She looked different. She had washed her face. Her hair was neatly tied back. She looked younger, healthier. I handed her a paper bag. Breakfast? She smiled. You really didn't have to. I know, but I wanted to. Inside the bag were 2 sandwiches, an apple and a bottle of milk. She looked at the food for a moment. Then she quietly said, "No one has been this kind to me in a very long time." Those words stayed in my heart. As we sat together in the small lobby, I finally asked, "Emma, how did you become homeless?" She looked out the window. For a long time, she said nothing. Then she took a deep breath. My story is a secret. She looked at me with sad eyes. And if I tell you, your life may never be the same again. I didn't know what she meant, but I could feel that she was carrying a heavy pain inside her heart, a pain she had hidden from the world. And I had a feeling this was only the beginning. Emma looked at me for a long time. Then she smiled sadly. My story is difficult to tell. I nodded. You don't have to tell me today. She looked surprised. Really? Yes. I'll wait until you're ready. She looked down at her hands. Thank you. I've met many people. They always wanted answers. You are the first person who gave me time. I smiled. Everyone deserves time. After breakfast, I asked, "Do you have any plans today?" Emma shook her head. No, I've been looking for work. But nobody wants to hire me. Why? I don't have a permanent address. I don't have enough money. And she looked away. My clothes don't make a good first impression. I understood. Sometimes people judge others too quickly. An idea came to my mind. My friend owns a small bakery. He sometimes needs extra help. Emma looked at me with hope. Do you think he would give me a chance? I don't know, but we can ask. She smiled for the first time that morning. I'd like that. We walked to the bakery together. The warm smell of fresh bread filled the street. My friend, Mr. Thomas, stood behind the counter. Daniel, he smiled. It's good to see you. It's good to see you too. I introduced Emma. This is Emma. She's looking for work. Mr. Thomas looked at Emma kindly. Have you worked before? Yes. I helped in a cafe. I also cleaned tables and served customers. Mr. Thomas nodded. I don't have a full-time job right now, but I need someone for 3 days this week. Emma's eyes became bright. Really? If you work hard, the job is yours. Emma smiled happily. I promise I'll do my best. After leaving the bakery, Emma looked at me. I don't know how to thank you. You don't need to. You found the job. I only introduced you. She laughed softly. You're always humble. That afternoon, I bought Emma a notebook. She looked confused. What's this for? So you can write. Write what? Anything. Your thoughts. Your dreams. Your plans. She gently touched the notebook. I used to write every day. What happened? I stopped believing my future mattered. I smiled. Maybe it's time to believe again. She nodded slowly. Maybe. Later that evening, Emma sat quietly in the guest room. She opened her small backpack. It was old and faded. There were only a few things inside. 2 shirts, a sweater, a small notebook, and one old photograph. I accidentally noticed it as she held it in her hands. There was a little girl in the picture, standing beside a smiling couple. The girl looked exactly like Emma. The man wore a police uniform. The woman held Emma's hand. They all looked happy, very happy. I looked at the picture. Is that your family? Emma became silent. She carefully placed the photograph back into her backpack. Yes, my mother, my father, and me. They looked happy. They were. What happened? She closed the backpack. I'll tell you, but not today. The next morning was Emma's first day at the bakery. She arrived early. She cleaned the tables. She greeted customers politely. She worked hard, very hard. At lunchtime, Mr. Thomas smiled. Daniel, you were right. She's an excellent worker. I looked at Emma. She was smiling while serving an elderly customer. For the first time since I had met her, she looked hopeful. 3 days passed quickly. Emma finished her temporary job. On Friday evening, Mr. Thomas called both of us into his office. I've made my decision. Emma looked nervous. If you want, you can stay. I'd like to offer you a full-time job. Emma covered her mouth with both hands. Really? Mr. Thomas laughed. Yes. You work honestly. You are kind to customers. And everyone likes you. Tears filled Emma's eyes. This is the first good thing that has happened to me in years. That evening, we celebrated with 2 small slices of chocolate cake. Emma smiled. I almost forgot what happiness feels like. You deserve to be happy. She looked at me. Daniel, can I finally tell you my secret? I nodded. I'm listening. She took a deep breath. My father wasn't just a police officer. He was investigating a dangerous criminal group. One night, everything changed. Her voice began to shake. They came to our house. My parents told me to run. I never saw them again. I felt my heart sink. Emma continued with tears in her eyes. Since that night, I've been hiding. I've never told anyone my real story. I was afraid. She looked at me. But now, I think I can trust you. I didn't know what to say. I simply reached across the table and gently held her hand. You don't have to face this alone anymore. For the first time in many years, Emma believed those words. But neither of us knew that someone else had just recognized the old photograph. And that discovery was about to change both of our lives forever. A few days passed. Emma worked at the bakery every morning. She arrived early. She greeted every customer with a warm smile. She cleaned the tables. She served fresh bread and coffee. Mr. Thomas was very happy with her work. One afternoon, he said, Emma, you have changed this place. She smiled. I just enjoy helping people. He laughed. And people enjoy seeing your smile. For the first time since I met Emma, she looked truly happy. That Friday evening, the bakery was busy. Many customers came after work. An elderly man walked inside. He had gray hair. He wore a dark blue coat. He ordered a cup of tea. Emma served him politely. Here is your tea, sir. The old man looked at Emma carefully. Then his eyes moved to the small photograph that had accidentally slipped out of her notebook. His face suddenly changed. He picked up the photograph with shaking hands. Where did you get this? Emma looked surprised. It's my family. The old man's eyes filled with tears. I knew your father. Emma froze. You knew my father? Yes. I worked with him. He was one of the bravest police officers I have ever met. Emma's hands began to shake. For years, she had never met anyone who knew her father. I quickly walked over. Sir, my name is Daniel. I'm Emma's friend. The old man nodded. My name is Robert. I retired from the police many years ago. He looked at Emma again. I've been looking for you. Emma couldn't believe what she was hearing. Looking for me? Yes. Your father asked me to protect something. The bakery became very quiet. Even Mr. Thomas stopped working for a moment. Robert carefully reached into his coat pocket. He took out a small silver key. It looked very old. He placed it gently on the table. This belongs to you. Emma stared at the key. My father gave this to me. He said, if anything happened to him, I must wait until you became an adult. Then I should give you this key. Tears rolled down Emma's face. She slowly picked up the key. I don't understand. What does it open? Robert smiled sadly. A safe deposit box. Your parents left something for you. The next morning, Emma and I met Robert outside a local bank. The bank building was old, but beautiful. Emma held the silver key tightly. She looked nervous. What if there is nothing inside? Robert smiled kindly. There is. I promised your father. I checked every year, but I never opened it. It belongs to you. A bank employee guided us to a quiet room. Emma inserted the silver key into a small metal box. Her hands were trembling. Slowly, the box opened. Inside were only three things: a white envelope, a small diary, and a tiny velvet pouch. Emma carefully opened the envelope first. There was a letter. The handwriting was neat. At the bottom, she immediately recognized the signature. It was her father's. She began reading aloud. My dear Emma, if you are reading this letter, it means you are safe. Your mother and I loved you every single day of our lives. Never believed that you were abandoned. We asked you to run because we wanted you to live. If you survived, then our greatest wish came true. Emma could no longer continue. She covered her face. She cried quietly. I gently placed my hand on her shoulder. Robert wiped away his own tears. After a few minutes, Emma opened the small velvet pouch. Inside was a beautiful silver necklace. It had a tiny heart-shaped pendant. She smiled through her tears. My mother wore this every day. Robert nodded. She wanted you to have it. Emma carefully put the necklace around her neck. For the first time in years, she felt close to her parents again. Finally, she picked up the diary. The first page read, For Emma, never stop being kind. Kindness is stronger than fear. Emma looked at me. My mother always said those words. I smiled. They're beautiful. She nodded. I want to live by them. As we left the bank, Emma looked happier than I had ever seen her. But Robert suddenly became serious. There is one more thing. Emma stopped walking. What is it? Your father also left one final message. He believed that one day you would meet someone with a kind heart. Emma looked at me. Robert smiled gently. He wrote, Trust the person who helps you when you have nothing. That person is your true family. Emma's eyes filled with tears again. She looked directly at me. Softly she said, Daniel, when I had nothing, you were the first person who stopped. You gave me tea. You gave me hope. You gave me a chance. I smiled. I only did what anyone should do. She shook her head. No, not everyone would. That evening, as we walked home together, Emma seemed lighter. The sadness she had carried for years had begun to fade. She finally knew the truth. Her parents had never abandoned her. They had sacrificed everything to save her. But deep inside, I could feel another chapter was about to begin. Because Emma no longer wanted to survive. She wanted to live. And together, we were about to build a brand new future. After we left the bank, Emma looked different. She stood a little taller. Her smile was brighter. For the first time in years, she had hope. She held her mother's necklace gently. Then she looked at me. Daniel, thank you. I smiled. You don't have to thank me. Your parents would be proud of you. She looked at the sky. I hope so. The next few weeks were peaceful. Emma worked hard at the bakery. Every customer liked her. Children smiled when she served them cookies. Older people enjoyed talking to her. Even people who came in with sad faces often left smiling. One evening, Mr. Thomas called Emma into his office. I have something to tell you. Emma looked worried. Did I do something wrong? He laughed. No, you've done everything right. I want to make you the assistant manager. Emma's eyes became wide. Me? Yes. You deserve it." She couldn't believe it. Only a few months earlier, she had been sleeping on the street. Now, she had a good job, a safe place to live, and people who believed in her. That evening, we celebrated at a small restaurant. Emma smiled during the whole dinner. I never imagined my life could change so much. I raised my glass of juice. "To new beginnings." She smiled. "To new beginnings." A few days later, something unexpected happened. I was helping Emma close the bakery. The last customer had just left. Suddenly, a black car stopped outside. A tall man stepped out. He wore a dark suit. He looked serious. He slowly walked inside. "Good evening." Emma looked at him. Her face suddenly turned pale. She whispered, "I know him." I looked at her. "Who is he?" "He worked with the people who destroyed my family." My heart started beating faster. The man walked toward the counter. He looked at Emma quietly. Then he said, "Emma, I've been looking for you." Emma took one step back. "I don't want any trouble." The man shook his head. "I'm not here to hurt you. I'm here to apologize." Emma looked confused. "What?" The man lowered his head. "Many years ago, I made terrible choices. I worked for dangerous people. I was young. I wanted money. I didn't understand the damage we caused." Tears filled his eyes. "I can never change the past, but I want to spend the rest of my life doing what is right." Emma remained silent. She didn't know whether to believe him. The man slowly placed a folder on the counter. "I've already spoken to the police. I told them everything I know. I helped them close the criminal group. I've accepted responsibility for my mistakes." He looked directly at Emma. "I know your parents were brave. They protected many innocent people. I'm truly sorry." Then he quietly turned around and walked away. The bakery became silent. Emma stared at the folder. She didn't open it. She simply stood there. After a long time, she whispered, "I don't know what to feel." I nodded. "You don't have to decide today." She looked at me. "Can people really change?" I thought for a moment. "Some people don't, but some people do." She sighed. "My parents always believed people deserved a second chance." I smiled. "Then maybe you already know the answer." A week later, Emma visited the police station with Robert. Everything the man had said was true. He had helped solve old crimes. He had admitted his mistakes. He was trying to rebuild his life honestly. When Emma came home that evening, she looked peaceful. "What happened?" She smiled softly. "I forgave him." I looked surprised. "Was that difficult?" "Very. But carrying hate is heavier than carrying sadness. My parents wouldn't want me to live with anger." That night we walked through the city park. The trees moved gently in the wind. Children laughed nearby. Emma suddenly stopped walking. She looked at me. "Daniel, when you first saw me, why did you stop?" I smiled. "I don't know." Something inside me said, "Don't walk away." Emma's eyes became wet. "If you had kept walking, my life would be completely different." I smiled gently. "My life would be different too." She looked at me with a warm smile. "I used to think I had lost my family forever." She looked down at her mother's necklace. "But now I understand. Family isn't only the people we're born with. It's also the people who choose to stay." Her words touched my heart. I wanted to tell her how I felt, but I stayed quiet. Maybe the right moment had not arrived yet. As we walked home together, neither of us noticed. Someone was watching us from across the street. A smiling elderly woman quietly whispered, "Your mother would be proud of you, Emma." Then she walked away into the crowd. I didn't know who she was, but I had a feeling. The final chapter of Emma's story was about to beg. A few days passed after Emma forgave the man from her past. She looked happier. She smiled more often. She laughed more easily. It was as if a heavy weight had finally disappeared from her heart. One sunny Sunday morning, we decided to visit the city park. The weather was beautiful. Children were flying kites. Families were having picnics. The air smelled of fresh flowers. As we walked along a quiet path, we saw the same elderly woman who had watched us a few days earlier. She was sitting alone on a wooden bench. When she saw Emma, she smiled warmly. "Hello, Emma." Emma looked surprised. "I'm sorry. Do I know you?" The woman nodded gently. "My name is Grace. I was your mother's best friend." Emma stood completely still. "My mother's friend?" Grace smiled with tears in her eyes. "Yes, I have been searching for you for many years." Emma slowly sat beside her. Grace opened an old cloth bag. Inside was a small wooden box. She carefully placed it in Emma's hands. "Your mother asked me to keep this safe. She hoped that one day I would find you." Emma's hands were shaking. She slowly opened the box. Inside were many precious memories: a tiny pair of baby shoes, a small pink hair ribbon, several family photographs, a birthday card, and one final letter. Emma gently unfolded the letter. It was written in her mother's handwriting. She began reading aloud. "My dearest Emma, if this letter reaches you, then God has protected you. Never believe you are alone. Wherever you go, our love goes with you. Life will sometimes be unfair. People may hurt you, but never let pain change your kind heart. Help people whenever you can. Forgive when you are ready. Smile whenever possible. And always believe that tomorrow can be better than today. We love you forever. Love, Mom and Dad." Emma could not stop crying. Neither could I. Even Grace quietly wiped away her tears. After a few minutes, Grace smiled. "Your parents talked about you every day. They dreamed about your future. They wanted you to become a happy woman." Emma looked toward the sky. "I hope they can see me now." Grace gently held her hand. "I'm sure they can." Weeks passed. Emma continued working at the bakery. One afternoon, Mr. Thomas gathered everyone together. "I have wonderful news." Everyone looked at him. He smiled proudly. "Our bakery has become the most popular bakery in the neighborhood." Everyone clapped. Then he looked at Emma. "And much of that is because of you." Emma smiled shyly. "I only did my job." "No," Mr. Thomas said. "You gave this place warmth. You made people feel welcome. You reminded us that kindness matters." That evening, Emma and I walked home together. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and gold. We stopped on a small bridge overlooking the river. The water reflected the beautiful colors of the sky. Emma looked at me. "Daniel, I've been thinking." "About what?" "The day we met. You bought me tea. You gave me food. You believed in me. You never asked for anything in return." I smiled. "I simply wanted to help." She looked into my eyes. "You gave me something much more important." "What?" "A reason to believe in people again." For a moment, neither of us spoke. The evening breeze moved gently around us. Finally, I took a deep breath. "Emma, there is something I want to tell you." She smiled softly. "I'm listening." "I don't know exactly when it happened. Maybe at the bakery. Maybe in the park. Maybe on that rainy evening. But somewhere along the way, you became very important to me. I care about you. Very much." Emma looked at me with tears in her eyes. She smiled. "I was hoping you would say that." I laughed nervously. "You were?" She nodded. "Because I feel the same." I gently held her hand. She didn't pull away. Instead, she held my hand a little tighter. For the first time in many years, Emma wasn't afraid of the future, and neither was I. 1 year later, life looked completely different. Emma was now the manager of the bakery. She also volunteered every Saturday at a homeless shelter. She served food. She listened to people's stories. She smiled at everyone. Whenever someone thanked her, she always said, "I was once where you are. Never lose hope." As for me, I was no longer lonely. Every morning, Emma and I had breakfast together before work. Every Sunday, we visited Grace. She became like family to both of us. Sometimes we looked through old family photographs. Sometimes we simply drank tea and laughed. The house was always full of warmth. One evening, Emma stood outside the bakery and looked at the sunset. She smiled. Then she whispered, "I finally found my home." I looked at her. "You mean this city?" She shook her head. "No, I mean the people who never gave up on me." I smiled. Home isn't always a place. Sometimes it's a person. She looked at me. "I think you're right. Today, whenever someone asks me, can one act of kindness really change a life? I always smile. Then I tell them about the rainy evening, when I almost walked away. If I had kept walking, Emma might still be alone, and I might still be living a lonely life. Sometimes, the smallest decision becomes the biggest turning point. A cup of hot tea, a simple sandwich, a warm smile. These things may seem small, but to someone who has lost everything, they can mean the whole world. Emma's greatest secret was never hidden inside a photograph, or a letter, or a key. Her real secret was this. No matter how much pain she carried, she never stopped believing in kindness. And because of that, she found hope, she found family, she found love, and at last, she found home. If you like our story, please share, like, and comment, and subscribe this channel for more stories like this.